Hi guys, it's Supper again. This time I've got with me creator of Forge the Narrative podcast, creator of People's Missions Tournament Pack, and TO for Forge the Narrative Seasonal, Paul
Close enough.
Murphy.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Hi. For those of us that don't know you, few words about you and your history before gaming.
I've been playing Warhammer since the early 90s. My favorite is 40K. I'm really excited about some of the changes that are happening in fantasy battle. And, I've been playing around at least, my country, US, for probably the last 10 years or so, traveling around to different cities. It's fun mixing up on the table.
Cool, and you are running quite a successful podcast, the Forge Narrative. Not telling Forging the Narrative because this is the other one, yeah. And why have you decided to start the podcast?
I started the podcast because at the time we got going a couple of years ago, there was basically one or two very dominant lists, and people wanted to figure out how to use their own things that weren't those lists to try to compete. And I thought, well, I've got some experience with playing the underdog. Maybe I can bring that to the table.
Cool. And you run as well podcast as well as a webcast. Who do you think which is better, which is most important for you?
The podcast certainly has more reach and it's more accessible to folks, but I have a good time with the webcast too because it really is a hangout session. Like every
Yeah.
Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time, we have people join in and ask their questions, share with us what's going on in their hobby at that point in time. A lot of people are painting or modeling while they're listening, and it's just nice to kind of get that interaction with folks.
Cool. And this is two totally different things, yes? Because you're
Oh, yeah, two very different.
okay. We recently witnessed a few crashes of podcast. Yeah, the 11th Company decided to close their doors, as well as the independent characters. Are there some problems these days with podcasting, or just these guys just finished their motivation?
It really does take time, and those guys have been holding it down for years now with many episodes. They've contributed to the community a lot, but like for instance, each hour of audio takes about 2 hours to edit. And for a hobby that takes as much time as ours does, like with the putting together the figures and painting them and everything else, it just eats up time when you got things like family and work and everything else. So if I had to guess, that would be why they quit. It's certainly, the hobby's not going anywhere. We're all having a good time with it
Yeah.
still, but it just eats time.
Yeah, of course. And guys from independent characters told that we'll be still doing something, but maybe some other way. The same with you guys from independent from 11th Company. Do you think that they will try to reach to create some other podcasts or maybe some other media like YouTube, Twitch?
I would expect to see those guys showing up on other shows. Like I know for a fact, Carl's going to be coming on mine. Neil from the 11th Company is a great friend of mine. He helped. We actually used his software when we ran the Forge narrative terms. And he's they're great people and they're assets to the community. I would not be surprised if they turned up on other media forms.
Cool, cool. Do you think that podcast should be concentrated on a single subject like yours with 40k, or there should be very multi-subject ones?
That's a tough question. We try to branch out every now and then just to show that, we do other things than 40K. But, people, when they're choosing to spend that time, because it really is it's entertainment and they're listening, they're logging on to get that entertainment. And so if you go too far from that, yeah, if you've already put yourself into kind of a corner, you have the potential to alienate some of your audience. But I like, with this hobby, we've got lots of different talk about. We got the painting, we got the modeling, we got the list building, we got the playing, we got the things like the social contract and that kind of. So it's wide, but I also like to see some things thrown in there. I like to know like more about the people that I'm listening to from my 40K stuff. So that working that in is cool.
Okay, and what are most useful media for podcasting? I know that you are very often ask for likes on iTunes. Yes.
iTunes is great because it's free. That's it's essentially getting well, I mean, not you have to do your own hosting, but then getting into iTunes is not as difficult as people think. You basically just apply and send them your feed, and it's almost like a rubber stamp, but that allows you to get good syndication out there, and it's really nice. I mean, we are one of our sponsors is Bulls, and they also help us with getting the reach out there, and
Yeah.
they're always on the lookout for getting things up on their blog roll.
Okay, and do you think that other social media is important for podcasts?
Which part? I missed that. I'm sorry. What was the
Do
question?
you think that other social media are important for podcasts, like Facebook and
Oh, I do.
Twitter?
Yeah. Facebook, we are blessed with a very wide reach on Facebook comparatively, like, our likes to engagement versus stuff. And that's right now it's a really good place, an easy way for most people to interact with you. And I think that's the key is just because I don't like just talking at people. I really like it when people interact. And so I get this
Yeah.
exchange of ideas, which helps fuel other shows, which keeps you, in content to again give out to people. So it's like this big circle with that social media with Facebook and Twitter. Twitter's good. I've been using Twitter a lot more recently.
Yeah, your podcast is concentrated on a community. Do you think that this community need more podcasts, or maybe those that are there available are is just enough?
Well, I mean, to be honest, my show is an hour long, and there are 23 other hours in the day. And most people they sit at work for 8, 9, 10 hours, are doing something at work. So I mean, I think there's plenty of room, and with that sometimes, and then there's 5 days during the week, so that's a lot of hours you could fill up just to kind of kill some time. What I do sometimes, I'll bring up something and just have it playing in the background while I'm doing my work.
Okay, and do you think that the hour is just enough? I know that there are many different podcasts which runs 4 3 hour shows.
Bless them. That's all I can say. It's you know to me, I mean, I did a lot of research before I started the show up, and the average commute here in the United States is 30 minutes back and forth. Now, I spend more than that. It takes me an hour to get back and forth from work. But the average commute is 30 minutes. So I thought that people might put us in on Monday morning, listen to us on the way to work, and then listen to us on the way back from work. That was kind of the goal. Is like if we could just fill that spot for somebody, I think we'd be doing somebody a service.
Cool. And what is most important when you want to run a podcast, when you are starting one?
When you're just starting one, I think you
Yeah.
got to have, well, you have to convince other people to hang out with you. And that's in editing. Editing is it's a arduous process. And so you've got to get people that are just comfortable getting stuff out to talk about. So then you can cut it down to something that's kind of entertaining and delivers a punch to people. So I think I know I just kind of wandered around. It's going to make my next point kind of silly, but I think you need to focus in on what you want to talk about and to figure out how to deliver a consistent message.
Okay, and what are most common mistakes made by the beginners in podcasting?
They don't edit. There's several free programs out there that you can make your podcast sound a little bit better if you just get one of these free or low cost programs to kind of polish up your production after you're done doing the recording. The recording is only part of it.
Okay, I heard that in podcasting one of the most important things is having good microphone. Is
Oh
this
yeah, yeah.
is
Let me
this
see if I
so
can get mine in the
important?
shot. Like well, it is like I use the Yeti here, the Blue Yeti. But you do want a good mic because as close as you can get it to sounding like everyone's in the same room, the better. And sometimes a subpar mic will give you a lot of background noise and just rattles and stuff that are very, very difficult to pull out during that editing process. So a good mic. Now this mic is probably the best I would need, and I can certainly get by with lesser mics. But I wouldn't go too much down the chain from maybe like a Blue Snowball or something equivalent. There's some good Logitech headsets and stuff out there, and like Turtle Beach and that kind of stuff. So there's lots of good stuff in varying price ranges. But get one and USB. You want a USB mic. You don't want an analog kind of plug-in metal mic like these headphones. You want an actual USB mic.
Why is that? Are these have their better sound quality or something?
Yeah, it's way better sound quality because the sound is traveling digitally and it's not going over. You're not running the risk of if you have your metal connectors touching each other the exact right way. It's not That's not how the information is being transferred. So it's yeah, having that USB plug-in for at least your mic is pretty huge.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. And do you have something that you would like to say to the current podcasters or maybe the future ones?
Guys, you guys are awesome. You certainly add to the community. It's a pleasure to be part of this kind of group of people. So I'm really happy to do that, and I love listening to you guys. And you're right. So you mentioned some of the ones we're going to see going. That just leaves rooms for people to come in and bring their style to this collective community. So that's keep on doing it. I'm happy to even act as a resource. There are several podcasts that have kind of asked me how to get going, and I don't mind telling them. I mean, there's tons of room out there for everybody, and I'm happy to help however I can.
Great. Thank you very much. This time my guest was Paul Murphy from Forge Narrative. So thanks once again and see you later.
See you guys.